the first time the Nextv series is making its stop at IFA in Berlin, and I think it's going to be a great conference today. So I'd like to welcome you to the first session of the conference, Broadcasters and Pay TV Operators Foray into Smart TV. This is one of the global and main topics, and of course we're all talking about smart TVs, connected TV, streaming services, market developments, fast channels, and how operators and broadcasters and telcos are moving and developing in this area, and of course what their strategies are from a strictly B2B perspective. I'd like to welcome today's three panelists. First of all, Inga Alika Stroda, TV and Entertainment Business Director of TED in Latvia. Welcome.
Hello.
Applause for Inga. Then we've got Peter Malecinski, Digital Media Director of TV2 in Hungary. Welcome, Peter.
Morning.
And in the middle, it's Frank Ripple, Head of TV Product at Vodafone Group. Welcome.
Hello.
Frank. So I'm going to join you now for the discussion part. And first of all, I've already mentioned Latvia is quite a bit away from Germany. Not too far for you to join us in Berlin, so welcome to the show. And first of all, of course, let's share some of the insights about TED, what your company is all about, and especially what you're doing in the smart TV area. Inga.
Yes, thank you. And hello, Berlin. So it's not so far, actually. It's 1 hour flight from Riga, so we are closer than you think. But yes, so TED, maybe you probably know the company under a previous name, La Telecom. In 2018, we have dropped the telco tag and announced that we are focusing on two strategic areas, being entertainment and technology. And maybe a little bit of a context for Latvia. So it's a rather small country, so we are only 2 million population for the territory of the Netherlands. But at the same time, for such a small market, actually a lot is happening on a digital front. So 70% of fiber optic penetration, so you literally can get really fast internet even to the remote area of Latvia. And this has fostered actually the digital development, I think, for all the digital products in Latvia. So in my role is overall entertainment and TV business. So in my team is content people, we produce content, we acquire, of course, content, we partner with the platforms, and as well also product. So we are #1 in pay TV, holding 50% market penetration. Not market, but market share in pay TV, and we have 3 technological platforms, being IPTV, OTT, and digital terrestrial. So our main challenge, I would say, is how to convert traditional digital terrestrial and IPTV customers to OTT. And in terms of smart TVs, we have launched our first OTT solution back in 2015. When actually nothing showed us in terms of the data that OTT is needed for the market. And from the first day, we said that smart TV is our main screen, and we wanted to hold the leadership there. So yes, we partner with Samsung, LG, Hisense is our latest platform, which we added to our portfolio, Apple TV and Android TV.
Thank you. Now over to you, Frank. When I was thinking about how to introduce Vodafone, I was thinking, like, is it a cable operator, a broadband provider, or a telco, or a bit of all of it? So how would you describe Vodafone?
That's actually a very good question.
I like the answer. I'm there for the questions.
So Vodafone is an international group, international operator. We're operating as well in Europe as in Africa with Vodacom. In Germany, we are known for the cable footprint and for the mobile operator. In Europe, Vodafone runs in 9 countries TV service. So we are running a TV service in Portugal, Spain, Germany, Greece, Albania, Romania, Czech Republic. So we are a multinational operator. We are running different technologies like you do. We are running cable TV, we are running IPTV, traditional IPTV, and OTT TV. So we have a bit of every technology you can think of. And of course, when you're acquiring different companies like we did, We also have a big legacy platforms, big legacy TV platforms, like in Germany, we have the Giga TV, we have the former Horizon footprint in the former Unity Media area. So we have a lot of different technologies, which we are now consolidating. We started a couple of years ago. I'm personally working in Vodafone since 18 months now, and we have started a big transition now towards new technologies and towards IP. So there's a lot of movement here around launching additional screens. So we're coming from a traditional set-top box world, and in the recent 2 years, 18 months, we have launched in many countries a smart TV app as well as OTT apps. So in essence, we are a pay TV operator and a mobile operator, so a complete telco which is serving all technologies, all communication, and all entertainment.
So a bit of everything, and in the old days it used to be called a quadruple player. A quadruple player.
Yeah,
in the very old days,
yeah,
like in the old days, streaming was called OTT. So you always have to follow the latest expressions as well.
Exactly.
And there's a long legacy, as you've just explained, of course, and we all know the history. Now let's go over to you, Peter. TV2 Hungary, you're a classic broadcaster, a commercial broadcaster.
Yeah.
Maybe you explain a bit about your operations, especially in the field of new technologies, smart TVs.
Yeah,
OTT.
sure. So in general, regarding TV2, we have 14 channels in the market, so we are the biggest one at the moment. We produce many local contents. These are the main drivers of our viewership and also for online. But upon that, we have many cable channels, American movies, sport content, etc. And we are trying to expand within the region. We already have a daughter company in Slovenia, and we are trying to continue the expansion. Let's see if we will succeed or not. Mm-hmm. And digital-wisely or technically, we launched our own VOD platform a bit more than 2.5 years ago. It's called TV2 Play, mm-hmm. and that's an AVOD platform. Later on, we launched TV2 Play Premium, which is accessible via the operators. So if you have a subscription at certain operators, you can get exclusive content and some additional technical features. And most recently, we launched TV2 Play Zero, which is an ad-light version of the AVOD platform. So if you pay a certain monthly fee, then you will see less advertisement on the videos. And when it comes to smart TV, at the moment, we are providing the big screen exclusively for the operators. So we are not having our own TV app at the moment on Samsung, LG, because we are asking a certain amount of money from the operators, mm-hmm. to provide them the exclusivity for the big screen.
That's the business strategy and monetization model for you?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it won't change within, 2 years, but at the moment we see that it's more profitable for us. And so we are developing the TV apps for the set-top boxes of the operators.
Okay, also a bit of everything, a lot of experimentation going on here, and I think that's the way forward anyway in these new technology spheres. You've mentioned something that I'd like to elaborate on, that was local content, mm-hmm. exclusive and local content, because I can't say it often enough, people, the consumer, they're not interested in technology. Technology just has to work. It has to stay invisible. When it becomes visible, there's usually a problem. So we don't want to see technology. We just want it to work. And what the consumer wants is, of course, content, quality content, local content, exclusive content, and in the best area, of course, all of mm-hmm. that all together. So you coming from the content side of the industry, what do you think the role of local content is in this global competition with the big players from the US? Is that something that you really think you'd like to focus on? Is that your main area?
No, I think we cannot really compete with them. So mm-hmm. we don't have our own studios. We want to make movies, series, etc. So I think we need to focus on our own profile. And as you just mentioned, the local content. So TV shows, realities, Hungarian daily series. So that's our main focus. And based on the data, that's what's working well for us. I mean, way better. Of course, in our case as well, they are watching back the movie series. But if I can say that those are generating 5% of the traffic, while local content 95%, and on TV and on online as well.
I think that's interesting because when you look at the different European markets, there's always a local player, a big local player, like here in Germany, there's RTL and there's ProSiebenSat.1 Group, and they are the local heroes. And then there's the big American players like Disney+, Amazon, and of course Netflix. And then you've got about, if you look at streaming series, it's about 2 to 3 international players and 1 or 2 strong local players. That's RTL Plus in Germany, and of course Join in Germany. And I think it's a bit the same in Hungary. If we take that as an example as well, you're the big local contender in this international competition. And so I think it makes sense to focus on the local aspect. And you can't, of course, beat the Netflixes and Amazons and Disneys of this planet with exclusive content, but local content is probably the right strategy, and that's a strategy that many other players are following.
Yeah, I think there are a few examples, like when local players can be competitive, but it's really, really rare. And yeah, we are not planning to enter that market. And as you just mentioned, in our case as well, there are a few local competitors like RTL Plus in our case as well, because there are many similarities with their content and our content. Yeah.
So let's stay in Germany. Frank, you're representing the group, of course, but you also have your eye, of course, close on the German market. And there are 2 big content providers claiming to be the super streamer, the aggregator. We've just mentioned them. That's RTL Plus and that's Join, of course. But then there's you with your GigaTV platform, and you also want to be in that role of the super aggregator. Can you maybe elaborate a bit on that strategy to be the aggregator platform, not just in Germany, but I think you do it following the same example in other of the markets you're in?
Of course, I think an operator platform needs to serve and needs to provide access to all kinds of content, be it the aggregators, local aggregators like RTL Plus, like Netflix, Prime Video, or also Disney. But what is important, I think, and what is the differentiator we are offering as an operator, like a platform with GigaTV, is the combination of apps, linear content, and catch-up TV, plus recordings. I think the mix of everything makes the difference, and is also appreciated by our customers, that they have one platform where they can basically access everything in a convenient way. And that's our mission, and to make this product most appealing, we need to have the content available, but we also, on the other hand side, and I think that's why we're sitting here today, this content needs to be available on all platforms. So meaning when we're having a linear TV, we want to offer that linear TV part also on the smart TV platforms as well.
I think that's probably the strategy behind all of these aggregation platforms, making it as easy as possible for the consumer to access the desired content, ideally through meta search and through an overall, invoicing and billing system. What's it like in Latvia, Inga? Is that also a strategy for TED, or what's the role in this aggregation game that you're playing over there?
So it's, I would say, a little bit of both. So it's a hybrid aggregation. As I mentioned already, we are actually also producing content. Yes, comparing to Hungary, we actually also had a big ambition to try and produce series, and we also are being co-producers for movies. And what we see is that actually the main thing for OTT is fragmentation, right? Every customer has different needs. So under our OTT app, we aggregate also the most popular linear channels. We have our own standalone SVOD service, so where is mainly our locally produced content, but we also acquire libraries from US studios. And how we compete, maybe it's not necessarily exclusive, but we localize it. So localization, of course, is a key component for us. And we have also 3 own production linear channels. So for linear channels, we mainly produce reality shows, but when it comes to streaming, we see that actually all new customer acquisition mainly are driven with a big serious titles. Of course, we are not Netflix. We don't produce the amount of Netflix in terms of quantity of the content, but we try to do 3 to 4 premieres per year. And This is one thing. Another, we also started to partner with platforms. So we also offer to our customers HBO Max. We are fortunate they don't have direct-to-consumer service in the market. Again, it's all HBO content, fresh from US, with localized feed in Latvian and actually also in Russian, which is widely spoken in our territory. But another thing maybe which I wanted to add is also that with OTT, since of course majority of our customers is still on a legacy with IPTV and DTT, with OTT we had a little bit more kind of opportunity to test new things, and in 2020 we have launched a new point system, so giving a customer flexibility actually to exchange their subscription for points and basically dip in and dip out of the content. So basically we have 3 point packages from smaller to bigger, and the customer can stay with pre-selected basic or extended basic or biggest package, or they can actually start to change the content, right? Somebody is still very loyal to linear channels, they can watch only linear channels for the, let's say, medium subscription, or they can only kind of choose premium sports packages or SVOD services. And we see that it actually works great for everyone, so it's an extra value for the customer, but also content providers. I see starting to believe more and more actually in this business model. It hasn't been easy, especially with broadcast channels, of course, who always wants basic package. But then again, you know, like with decline in linear viewing, this actually prolongs the lifetime for also kind of linear channels being in traditional environment.
Thank you. That's really interesting, because I was wondering about how that bonus system or point system is working. What's your first conclusions on that? Is that really something that people are actively using?
This is definitely USP for us. And then again, we don't have to do it for everyone. So we see that OTT customer is more demanding, right? One day they want to watch HBO Max, another they want to maybe rent a movie or then subscribe to the sports package. So this is a flexibility which nobody actually offers in the market. While on IPTV, what we see, they are more traditional, so they actually love to have these traditional packages, right? And it's also a cost saving on the content actually in the end of the day, because you pay only for the content which actually customers are subscribing.
Okay, so we'll of course follow that closely, how it's developing, maybe set a role model for other players in the market as well. Let us focus on CTV again, because we were already mentioning the role of aggregators. And for example, Frank, with GigaTV in several markets, you see yourself, you consider yourself as an aggregator, so that is fine. But there's other players as well. I'm not talking about the broadcasters, I'm talking about other contenders in that competition. That's the smart TV manufacturers. Now comes, let's say, Samsung TV Plus is just one example, and they say, look, we're also an aggregator. We've got apps for everything. You don't need GigaTV or anything else. We've got everything here. So that's your one-stop shop. So what's the role of smart TV manufacturers, Frank, for Vodafone? Are they friends or are they enemies? Or a bit of both, the so-called frenemies?
So I would not call them enemies, of course not. Yeah?
We're on public here.
So no, we think smart TVs have a right and have absolutely it is a device we are supporting, and this is part of our device portfolio. Not in Germany right now, but in other countries we have launched smart TV apps on LG and
so there are
Samsung.
GigaTV apps in other markets.
They're called Vodafone TV, but it's the same apps. We are producing one product across all markets. So we have launched that and are closely monitoring. Some of them are only online since a few months. We're closely monitoring the adoption rate and the usage rate, and also the customer satisfaction. We see smart TVs as part of our portfolio, but we believe still that set-top boxes offer for our customers a higher value because we have linear TV and all catch-up services integrated in the user experience. And on smart TVs, you still need to jump from one app to another. This appification is still prevailing. And we have decided actually on set-top boxes to go for Android TV. So we are using the strengths of Android TV as operated here, and provide an overarching search experience plus our linear and OTT on-demand services. And there, I think we have a good product in place, and still we will provide smart TV apps for our customers that they can use all screens they have at home, and we want to make it low frills to use our content and access our services.
So you're kind of on all these different platforms and leaving the choice to the consumer. But let's stick with the set-top boxes. So inside the Giga TV, there's Android TV. Is that right? Is that already the case? Because that was new to me. So you're rolling out Android TV into the heart of Giga TV,
Exactly.
or Horizon even.
We have launched in Portugal in May with an Android TV platform, the Vodafone TV Play, and so far it's very successful. We have very, very good customer feedback, and actually we have a high adoption rate. So this is commercially very successful, and we're looking into launching it in more countries.
So in the end, there'll be Android TV in all of the Vodafone boxes?
Yes.
Okay. But that leaves me, of course, with the question, how long will you stay with keeping hardware inside the customer's living room, the set-top box experience? Is that something you'll stick with, you plan to stick with in the long run? Because there are more and more players saying, like, look, we don't need those boxes anymore, it's too complicated, upgrading them all the time and costly. We just want to stay in a virtual world with virtual set-top boxes inside the smart TV. There's like operator applications even for Android, for Apple-based solutions, and for like HBB TV-based Android apps are all around. So can you imagine a world without set-top boxes at some stage?
So right now, I don't think the set-top boxes are dead. They still have a right to exist, because what I can see and what we also get from our customers as a feedback, it is absolutely perceived well that they have a different user interface and the operator user interface, which they can trust and they can rely on. And so far, I have also to say it's not proven that the smart TV world is cheaper for an operator to produce apps and also create a good customer satisfaction, because it's very challenging to run these smart TV apps on all the screens and all the different brands in all the different versions over several years. So this is actually the challenge, as long as it is pretty complicated to maintain a good customer experience on all the versions over all the generations. As long as this problem is not solved to a decent level, I think set-top boxes are still the one.
I think that's really a clear message. So in order to keep that all in your own hands, you still need the set-top box, because if you get that out of your hands into the smart TV app world, then of course it's complex, as you were saying, to keep all of these different apps and platforms and versions and models up to date all the time on an equal level. I think that's the challenge, making sure that the customer is always the same customer experience, while inside the set-top box world, of course, you've got that all under control. Let's focus on the broadcaster side of things. Peter, what's your thoughts on set-top boxes and smart TVs, and what's your strategy in that area as a broadcaster?
Yeah. Yes, mentioned at the moment we are developing the TV apps for the operators to the set-top boxes. And regarding the set-top boxes, for example, an Android TV environment, it's for us, it's good because it's a quite developed one. We don't face that many difficulties when it comes to the development. But of course, there are other examples. For example, web-based set-top boxes, when the browser is outdated, when there is a limitation on the memory usage, it can make it very, very difficult to develop one. For example, just an example that for one of the operator, we started the development, and we got really close to the launch when we realized that we won't be able to get it to the needed level, and we needed to rebuild the whole application from a front-end side build to a server-side build, because with the memory limitation, it was really, really slow. And we needed to create a not totally new design, but a new structure for the TV app. Not using that much of the how to say, the feature of the set-top boxes. So why I'm mentioning that we can face difficulties when it comes to development to the set-top boxes of the operators. And our strategy not to be on smart TV is basically because, as mentioned, we are asking quite a big amount of money from the operators to have our TV app on their set-top boxes as an exclusive application and not having TV to play on Samsung, LG, etc. And yeah, maybe within the near future, we might change it. But at the moment, I think for us, it's a more profitable way. We are getting more profit from the operators than making it accessible for everyone on the smart TVs.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking at the market developments and then you're reacting accordingly. Inga, what's your strategy as a telco in this question mark behind set-top boxes? Is the set-top box dead in Latvia, or is it still alive and well?
So I would say that we are platform agnostic. We are technologically quite advanced, but we put it in the hands of our customer to actually decide what do they want. I would say that from the first day, we had actually completely different experience with smart TVs. Somehow it's easy. So we produce actually OTT in-house, and we support all the versions of Samsung, LG, Android TV since 2017 now. And actually, it hasn't been a challenge for us. So for us, the challenge was when we tried to have a customized Android box. And now we have, if the customer needs, they can either subscribe to our IPTV service with the Linux box. So we are not going to do a lot of integrations, of course, on that side. But if they, for some reason, decide that they need actually an Android box, then we provide them just a standard Android box, not customized one. But when it comes to smart TV, we have been working really closely with main brands in smart TV. Smart TV companies in Latvia, and so we sign a contract. We really make sure that there is some marketing activities. We bundle subscriptions with our broadband, new kind of versions of the smart TVs, like for the launch dates with our subscriptions. We always have pre-install for the new versions, and we see that it actually works out for us much better. So, and from the terms of viewership, then also close to 90% actually viewership comes on smart TVs on a big screen. So we didn't see that for customer there any kind of a confusion, because they have the same functionality. What they get in the box for now, they get also on the apps, including linear, catch-up, network PVR, movie rentals, SVOD services, and luckily all the content partners we have are ingested for now. I understand that it will be a different challenge once we will start to work on partnerships for metadata integration with the platforms.
So it's quite a different experience. Frank, do you want to respond to that?
Yes, but the starting point, of course, of TED is different. You're producing your own content.
Yes.
And Vodafone Group does.
You don't have the legacy that Vodafone
and we are not producing content ourselves. We are aggregating since quite some time. And from that perspective, this model of having, let's say, all ingested in or having own production on own content in our apps doesn't work for us, because we can't aggregate content in a smart TV app. So we need to go for that business model, of course, to run a set-top box. And of course, if we start very early, we might have started a bit late on the smart TV journey as a group. Then, of course, you gather a lot of experience and also have a first mover advantage. And we are having a bit of late follower right now, which we're catching up.
So we see the differences, but we also understand why they're there, really. Yeah. So it does make sense. Inga, you're talking about, since you're platform agnostic, about the partnerships, the collaborations you have with the market players. Maybe you can elaborate a bit on that. How is your experience with that? Are they all open towards these kinds of relationships you're offering? How's your experience with the other market players? Or do they maybe see you even as a competitor, or is it like a supporter for their business?
First of all, maybe more on a global level. I see now that more and more, of course, also global platforms are struggling, right, to bringing new customers. And there was also recently shared data from OMD Media, right, that 25% of subscriptions already comes actually for global platforms from partnerships. So actually, I see that the kind of willingness to cooperate is warming up. Maybe for Latvia, there is a little bit different challenge because we are a rather small market. For, let's say, for really huge global players, they don't want to allocate a lot of resources on integration part, right? So if we do everything ourselves, then they are happy to partner. But we have managed to sign several partnerships. For several years, we had exclusive partnership with Viaplay, which is a leading Nordic player. Unfortunately, they decided to exit several markets, so we are anticipating their decision on Baltic market. We participate with our kind of competitor, but also partner Go3 in the region. And as I mentioned already, also HBO Max has been our partner for almost 10 years now. So yes, of course, being number one in Latvia with 50% market share, we are attractive, they need us. And if we can believe the forecast, then actually all the new incremental sales they see it will be coming from the partnership with telcos. And we have all this, and what we see also from our customers that there is actually a very small number of true cord cutters. You know, majority of customers are actually still loyal to kind of mixing linear channels together with SVOD subscription. And then when they have this SVOD subscription, then they want to kind of change it on a regular basis depending on a content streamline. And that's, again, our point system where actually there is amazing flexibility for our customer to subscribe, let's say, to HBO Max only for just like that, which just finished. Probably female audience here can relate. Yes, and or to the sports events, right? So we see that for the super aggregation strategy for us, it's very important on one side to keep leadership in the local content, but also, of course, aggregating partners through this point system and giving customers the flexibility to basically use let's say, wallet size for the content they want to watch.
So in this modern TV world where we're all talking about streaming, AVOD and SVOD, there is still, amazingly or not, a lot of conventional TV consumption. Frank, is that something you can mirror really in the other markets? Because you're like coming from, in Germany, a classic cable operator side, where people are growing up with watching linear TV, and then there's not all of a sudden the streaming and the on-demand services. But do you see in your local markets there's still a lot of linear TV consumption going on?
So we don't see a big, let's say, fall in linear TV consumption. We see that customers are watching later using catch-up, so they're still interested in the content.
Catch-up is still linear TV,
it's
but
still linear TV,
on demand.
but later on,
yeah,
they're using recordings. And there are contents where on-demand is not very interesting, and that's sports.
Yeah.
So in some markets,
or live news,
breaking
news on demand. Yeah. Who watches that?
And even latency is key. If you cheer up for a football game latest, then this is something which
latency, yes,
which customers don't appreciate. So from that perspective, we don't see a big decrease of linear TV, but the usage is growing, of course, of SVOD services and delinearized content as such. Yeah?
Maybe I could add also here, let's not forget that actually our bread and butter is still traditional TV, right?
Yes.
Because like we can do all the sophisticating things on OTT side and transform to OTT, create the content, only things that there is like majority of revenues actually comes from traditional or legacy pay TV. I don't know the markets for Germany, but if you look at Eastern Europe, I think in general, like pay TV revenues are 3 times bigger than streaming revenues. If we look at Latvia, then pay TV revenues are 2.5 bigger than consolidated streaming revenues. And then, if we come to OTT, what is interesting, 45% of those OTT revenues actually comes from telcos. So not from Netflix or Disney, right? So it's really great to do all the super aggregation things, and of course we need to do it and test what works for our customers. But then, in the end of the day, what is actually financing it is still a legacy business.
Exactly, it's the content that we shouldn't forget is really what draws the audience, and that is, in the ideal case, we said that early on, ideally original, exclusive, and of course local. Peter, coming from the broadcaster side of the market, what's the consumption of linear like in Hungary? Is that still on a high level, as we were just hearing from the other panelists, or is that slowly going down, or is it more going towards the catch-up side of things, which is still linear but watched on demand?
No, it's quite similar. It's not really decreasing. Let's see what will happen in the upcoming years, but it's not really decreasing. We thought, for example, regarding news content, that in the near future, most of the people will watch it online. But again, still, even for news, it stands that the majority of the people are watching it on TV, and for that kind of content, it's even a bit increased a bit. And yeah, meanwhile, the SVOD services are increasing, but it does not have a negative effect yet on the linear viewing in Hungary.
So that is still, local content is king.
Yeah.
Let's say it like this. There's room for Q&A in the last couple of minutes, so if you have any questions from the audience to our three panelists, please maybe quickly raise your hand, and I think we have a microphone for you to voice your questions. If not, I will just continue with the next question I have for you, and that is, of course, looking into the future. Inga, what do you think will be the main driver in your market for you to stay on top of the competition in the, let's say, next 5 years? What's the main thing you want to focus on to stay on top?
Good question.
I know it's a tricky one, but we're not here for the easy ones.
Like, I think that, in the main focus areas probably doesn't change. So still trying and seeing what actually from local content perspective, what customer needs, what do we need to produce. Then, of course, content is still a king, and then technology is kind of commodity, right? Yeah. But devil is in detail. So I think usability, when it comes to also aggregating the third-party platforms, content discovery is actually very important. And another thing maybe where I'm kind of thinking about, linear is good, but it's driven by older demographics. We understand more or less what to do with 20 plus, but when it comes to youngsters, so what will be the future to actually keep them entertained, right? I was just recently talking to my 9-year-old daughter's classmates, and when I say entertainment in TV, they only think gaming. Yeah. For them, there is no entertainment content, right? So I think it's interesting to see, like, basically, yes, how we will be able to address a younger generation going forward. I
think that's a good point. The challenge is and will remain, of course, keeping or becoming younger generations to be loyal customers, because the main part of the linear consumption is, of course, with the older demographics. So I think it's with brands, probably local brands, entertainment-focused, gaming even. We shouldn't forget gaming. It's really a big game to stay in that frame. Frank, what's your main strategy driver in the next couple of years for Vodafone Group?
So what you just said around usability, what we are looking into is making digital journeys more easy for our customers, subscription journeys more easy, getting a trustful partner to subscribe to different contents across different domains, be it OTT providers, be it linear, because we believe still there's a lot of room for improvement for our customers, but also managing that content across different apps is in many cases very cumbersome. And this is an area which could be very interesting to look into, because that's actually a customer problem we need to solve in the near future, this fragmentation of different subscriptions. And then content discovery is the area, and context of content, not only the content itself, but also the context of the content, will be one differentiating factor. And looking on younger audiences, there's a lot of usage now of short form movies, TikTok, but all these formats are can be very time consuming to watch as well. It's like an evening you can easily spend in front of the TikTok app, no problem. But it's a different form of content, and there is certainly also younger audiences want to watch a movie. I have a 12-year and 7-year-old daughter, so they still watch movies from time to time. And I think over the time they will also appreciate a lean back experience as well when they're getting older.
Making sure you don't lose the younger audiences and keeping your product attractive to them, content discovery, and of course the user experience are these important points to focus on. Peter, is that something you would sign as well?
Like regarding what we expect from the future?
Yes, the most important things to focus on in the next few years for TV2.
For TV2, not content-wisely, but maybe I would highlight to try to stay profitable, because why the cost of the content creation is increasing.
Another important factor in all of these areas, you need to make money as a commercial business.
Yeah, and it's more and more difficult to ask for more money from the distributors, from the operators. Also, we are trying to build up digital as an additional source of revenue. Yeah. But for the next 2 or 3 years, I think it will be extremely challenging to stay profitable with the increasing costs of content creation.
Thank you very much. These were challenges and things to focus on in the next few years. Thank you very much to the panelists.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce